Welcome aboard, shipmates. This is Real Sailors, Real Sea Stories, a training program created for the Naval Sea Cadet Corps by our supporters at the Naval Talent Acquisition Group in Philadelphia. I'm your host, Warrant Officer David Sheets, Commanding Officer of the John T. Dempster Jr. Division of the Naval Sea Cadet Corps. I'm joined by my all-Navy support crew, MC1 Quinlan, who's our PAO, and STG1 Lewison, who is our technical support expert. We've had a change in topics for today's presentation. Originally, we were going to talk about Navy nuclear power. Oddly enough, our speaker lost power at her house, and we switched to one of the most requested presentations we've had in this series. So, today's topic is Navy Master at Arms, the Navy's police force. Petty Officer Second Class Frank Penick, USN, who is an MA2, will be our presenter today. So, cadets, this is active learning, not passive listening. When you have questions, put them in the comments section, and we will get to them. Also, after this presentation, there will be the opportunity for you to answer a few questions in a quiz. And if you answer those questions, right, you will get 2 hours of virtual drill credit. Pretty simple thing. So, without any further delay, Petty Officer Penick, the ship is all yours.
Okay, so good evening, everyone. I understand you guys and girls come from various geographic regions and that you are very excited about the Navy, the military, how it can help you, help your life. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to tell you my story. I'm going to tell you how I came into the Navy, how my process of training, how I became a Master at Arms, what I learned, some things that I've done, and then we can open it up for questions, and if you ask questions along the way, that can help us have a good dialogue. So, feel free to ask questions at any time. With that said, I'm going to start my presentation now. Just give me a second to share my screen, and let's see. Are we good to go on this? Can you see the slide, the PowerPoint?
Not yet.
Okay. Hold on. Let me see. How about now?
Close.
You said close?
Very close. We can see your screen.
Okay. So you ready for the slide?
Now, there we go. Excellent.
All right. Okay, so that's, as you can see, Master at Arms Second Class. That's me, Frank Penick, and we're off. Okay, so basically, I'm from Camden, New Jersey originally. I've been in the Navy for 5 years. All right. So what I wanted to do when I joined, I wanted to change my life, challenge myself, and not have any regrets. So basically, the reason that I joined is prior to joining the Navy, I was actually a teacher. So I was a teacher for 15 years. So I actually joined at a later stage in my 30s. So but however, I was pretty heavy deep into martial arts, just physical fitness all the way across the board. And so as I was teaching in the urban environment, Camden, New Jersey, I looked at my career trajectory, and I said, hey, do I want to keep on doing this for the next 20, 30 years and just be, kind of like an old, run-down, beat-up teacher getting abused by kids who can say and do anything they want to you, and you can't do anything in school, in Camden? The kid, as a teacher, you can't even be armed, but as a Master at Arms, obviously, we use firearms. So not saying that I would go that way, but I want to be able to protect myself. So I felt like the military was the best way and to go so that I can get the training, the experience, be able to defend myself, be able to defend others. So I was instructed to tell you guys straight up, how it is. So I'm just going to, give you the real. As real as I can possibly give it to you. So what you see right here in the picture, this is the day that I joined. I got my little bag, my little Navy hat, a little Navy contract. I was happy. And so from there, I went to basic training, right? So like I said, I was in my 30s in basic training. A lot of the guys that I was with were 18, 19 years old. But I'm going to tell you what, I dusted them because this is just a point to remember. If you take care of yourself, you can age well. Eat right, exercise, avoid drama, avoid conflicts. You can be very physically fit into your 30s, into your 40s, maybe even in 50s and 60s. You can still go hard and go strong. So that's what I intend to do, and that's why one of the reasons why I like the Navy, because it challenges me in that way. Okay, so when I was in basic training,
when you were in recruit training, clearly you were more mature or world experienced than these 18-year-olds, and you were coming close to just they were not much older than maybe some of the students you had in Camden.
Exactly. Yes.
Right. How did that impact you and impact your working environment during training in RTC?
So what actually happened is the people who the drill instructors, they basically identified certain people, and they said, okay, for example, who's married, who has kids, who has responsibility, who has a mortgage or pays rent. And they identified people and they said, okay, you're in charge, because they know that, just by having a little more life experience, you can kind of, navigate certain situations differently than somebody with less experience. So I was kind of like pushed to the front to be a leader immediately. There were some younger guys like 18, 19 who were really sharp, really motivated. And then there were some guys who were just trying to they were just there trying to figure out their way. So eventually what happened is a lot of the guys, they started to come to me kind of like as an advice. Like they call me OG. I don't know if you guys, that's like, original gangster, OG, old head, whatever. But they respected me because they respected the way I worked, the way I studied. And, it was cool. It was kind of like a mentor. It was kind of like a mentor-mentee relationship, even from almost the beginning. Guys would talk to me about, oh, my girlfriend, she broke up with me. She's thinking about breaking up with me. I don't know if she's cheating on me. All kind of, strange topics that guys talk about, that's important to them. They would just come to me and ask me what I thought, and I would just tell them what I thought, based on what I knew about life. So, it worked out pretty good. It worked out pretty good.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah. So like, as you can see, so that's the recruit honor ribbon. That means I was basically at the top of my class. I have another one from A school that I also got. So it's all about preparation. So if you take the time to prepare, you study, you prepare your body, you prepare your mind, you will reap positive results. So that's actually not me in the picture. That's a general picture. So from basic training, we went to A school. We learned we did a little martial arts, but I was already into like jujitsu, Muay Thai, a lot of running, a lot of swimming. So the training was it was a good release, because the basic training is so mentally challenging that just to be able to do physical fitness, learn a little bit of martial arts, learn some self-defense techniques, that was really it really helped. It really just helps you to get that energy out, that aggression or that we feel sometimes. So one of the things I know is pretty much like a popular topic is OC spray. You guys heard of OC spray, right? I can't hear you, but I'm guessing you can hear me. So yeah, you've heard. So OC spray, that was one of the more memorable experiences in A school. So basically the way it works is, maybe you've seen the video on YouTube and whatnot, but basically the way it works is You turn around, then they tell you to turn around. Then they spray you, and they say, okay, how many fingers do I have up? And then you have to get yourself together, open your eyes through the pain, and tell them how many fingers you have up. And then from there, you just go. You push through a self. I'll call it a physical obstacle course. So one of the things that's kind of like was surprising to me as never being sprayed with OC until that point was that it affects your breathing. So like my eyes cleared up. Like as soon as I started running, the adrenaline kicked in, and I was able to see. And then it kind of like shocked me because I was like, whoa, hold up, I can't breathe. And then right there, I was up on my first obstacle. So once I hit my first obstacle, once I got through the first obstacle, I was trying to get myself together. And then, once you get that first obstacle, like I said, that adrenaline kicks in. And then from there, I got my breathing back and I just pushed through it. And actually, it's impossible now, but if you were to talk to some people that I went to school with, when I got to the final obstacle, which they call the big red man, it's a guy coming at you, he's attacking you. And basically I put him on his back using a Muay Thai kick. And everybody that I was with, my unit was like, yeah. And it got him really hyped up. And so I was happy about that. And then after that, so once I finished that, then then you stop, and then that's when you start to feel the pain. So once you get through the obstacle course, you start to feel the pain, and that's when it gets kind of like it lingers for like 2-3 hours, 4 hours. You still feel the sensation in your eye. So it's all good, but yeah, that's something that if you ever get a chance to get OC sprayed, you'll never forget in life ever. I promise.
Well, we don't use OC spray in the Sea Cadet Corps, that's for sure. But there's probably times where some of us would like to. Got a question about a couple questions that are coming in. Clearly, our cadets are very much into this presentation. First thing is, where is the A school for MAAs?
Okay, it's in San Antonio, Texas.
Okay.
Lackland Air Base. It's a Air Force base, but they have the MA school there also.
Oh, okay. Is it like a joint command, like you're training the other military police folks, or is it Navy separate, Air Force?
So they have the Air Force basic training goes on there, but okay. We don't. It's just the MA. So the MAs are like kind of separate from the Air Force, and I'm sure it's a huge base, so they have like tons of different activities going on, but they just keep the MAs, and we just work in our own little separate section and training areas and stuff. But we would come in contact with Air Force people all the time, and also people like multinational type of people doing different training and stuff like that too.
Okay. One of the questions was, how far did you get in jiu-jitsu? I guess that has to do with belts, I guess.
Okay. Jiu-jitsu. So what I did, so I was training in jiu-jitsu for about 9 months, and I was just going to a UFC gym. And so I was just basically doing it to help myself get in more shape for basic training, which I knew was coming. So I didn't actually take it for belts. I just took it to just basically learn how to fight and learn how to defend myself.
Right.
So jiu-jitsu is pretty, you can do a lot of damage with jiu-jitsu. So guys who are interested in, this is a side note, but if you're interested in martial arts, jiu-jitsu is, if you just want to defend yourself, like don't go out and try to pick a fight with somebody, obviously, but to defend yourself, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, you can really, you can defend yourself very well, and maybe boxing, something like that, but don't go out looking for fights though,
No, never a good thing.
Yeah, because really hurt somebody. Like you can really hurt somebody with jujitsu. Like you can like kind of, you can do like a lot of damage to somebody. And you don't want to. You think when you're like, oh well, if somebody messes with me, I'll just like put them in an arm bar and like break their arm or dislocate their shoulder or something. But there's repercussions to taking those actions. And you don't want to mess up your life. Like you guys are young, guys and girls are young. So, I work with people now who try to get into the Navy, and it's amazing how many people have, things in their background that prevent them. Something that happened when they were 18, they had a criminal charge for assault. They got in a fight with somebody. So, you want to always avoid conflict. And then another thing, like this is another side note, just besides working with your hands to defend yourself, the jujitsu and this and that, the weapons that we use. I know you guys want to know about weapons, right? So the weapons that we use, the weapons that we train with, these are not in any way, shape, or form jokes. It's not a joke. It's not a game. You do like permanent damage. I guess you guys already know that. So, you don't play around with guns. You may train your body if you get into martial arts. You may train your body to, kind of be able to handle adversaries and stuff like that. But I don't know how to explain. But so like if you get into jujitsu, right, and you think you're a tough guy, if somebody, you don't want to go, oh, I'm tough. I can, you want to test me? I'll F you up. I'll do this. I'll do that. Blah, 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 on and on and on. But then if the person pulls out a gun, that's neutralized. If they have enough space and distance, your jujitsu is nothing. So you just want to avoid violence. You want to learn how to defend yourself, but avoid violence. But just to, does that answer the question? I kind of went on a tangent.
No. That totally answers the question. Another thing came in, and it's about mental toughness, if you want to think about it that way. So yeah. One of our cadets is asking, what type of advice would you have for someone going to basic training, recruit training? This person feels that they're very confident, but they're nervous at the same time. They just want to succeed and not fail. So how do you get yourself in that right mind space and for yourself as well? Because just starting.
Right. So the best way to prepare is to prepare. It sounds simple, but so like and you guys actually, so you guys as Sea Cadets, you actually learn, you actually are, so you want to know your chain of command, you want to know the sailor's creed, you want to know your 11 general orders, you want to know the types of ships. So the basic knowledge, I think you guys get a lot of that just as being Sea Cadets.
Yes,
so,
they do.
Yeah, so you get the knowledge, right? So you guys are already ahead of the game on the knowledge part. And then from there you just train your body, like, so you know what the physical fitness test consists of, I'm assuming, which is the running, the push-ups, the sit-ups. If you want to go special ops, it's it's the swimming and the pull-ups. You just prepare, you eat right. And so like what's going to happen with basic training is it's going to be, I guess you said I can curse, right?
No.
Okay, no, okay, I'm sorry. So,
try not to.
Okay, I won't. So basically it's going to be a mind screw. They're going to screw your mind. They're going to screw with your brain, but it's not going to be like permanent. They're just going to be like, okay, whatever you do is wrong. And they're just going to yell at you. So if you tie your shoe left lace over right or right lace over left, you're just going to get yelled at and you're going to have to do push-ups. And, but at the end of the day, so, all right, so what they do is they just basically focus on you're paying attention to details. Because if you come unglued because, a chief is yelling at you about your shoes being tied or not being tied properly, or your uniform not being tied properly, what are you going to do if you're in a real, emergency type situation? So, like, that's why they put pressure on you. So everything they do, this is the thing that you should take away from this, Everything that they do has a purpose. They put the pressure on you. They put the fire on you because out of, I guess you guys have maybe heard this saying, like out of pressure, comes diamonds. Diamonds are produced out of pressure. Fire and heat is what makes you stronger and makes you able to handle certain situations. So you practice how you play. Other than that, if you have the knowledge and you're physically fit and you it's only, what is it, 8 weeks of basic training. It's going to be uncomfortable at certain times just because it's a new situation, a new setting. The first Probably the first 2 weeks are the hardest, I would say, for like most people that quit, which you guys won't do because you don't allow that's just not an option. Don't even put that in your mind. But if people who quit just in general, they quit in like the first 2 weeks. Once you make it through the first 2 weeks, you get used to it. You understand how the pattern works. You guys get up, you get yelled at, you do PT, you run, you sweat, you take a shower, you go to class, then you study, you learn what they want you to learn, you come back, maybe you get yelled at some more, you get some food, do some more push-ups, go to bed, repeat. That's all basic training is. And so so one thing that I can convey to you guys as a teacher, right? So when I was a teacher, in the beginning of the school year, I will always be really firm and strong and not play no games, no jokes with my students. Like, I'm not here to play games. I'm not your friend. You're here to learn. Don't joke with me. Don't play with me. Don't F around. Right. But as time goes on, as I get to know them more, I can relax a little more as a teacher, as an instructor. And that's the same thing that happens in basic training. In the beginning, they'll be screaming on you. You may laugh, ha ha ha, because somebody is getting laughed at. You may think it's funny, and then you get laughed at, and then you get screamed on, I'm sorry, and then everybody's doing push-ups because you laugh and they're yelling at you. You think I'm your friend? You think I'm your effing friend? I'm not your friend. Ah! Push, 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 push. Like something like that, right? That's how it's going to go down. But then once you probably like by week 4, week 5, your drill instructor is going to say, okay, now I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. And then they're going to start telling you some things like, okay, so they're going to tell you their story, just like I'm telling you my story. This is how I joined the Navy. This is why I joined the Navy. And then as it goes on, when you get to the end, they'll actually like sit around and kind of like, there'll be a whole session where they like joke around with you. Like, hey, so what was the thing you remember most about basic training? Because it's going to be some memories in basic training. Like, there's going to be some funny stuff that's going to happen, and you can't laugh because it's like, if you laugh, you get in trouble. But it's like hilarious. Like, you just see somebody do something like really weird, and it's like, yo, but you can't laugh, And so at the end, they'll give you that opportunity, like, hey, what was your best memory? What was so funny? And then it's like, okay, yeah, remember this happened and blah, blah, blah. And you all laugh it up, and, and then it builds that bond. There's going to be some trying times too, because some guys who like have never been away from home at all, like have been maybe babied their whole life. Like, I've seen guys like who are like, 18, 19, 20, whatever. They cry. Like, they get yelled at and they cry. So, it's just like, hey man, you got to get past that. You can't quit, so if you're the one who's going to get all emotional and start crying because somebody's yelling at you, I got news for you. They're just going to yell at you more. They may give you some counseling. They may say, hey, what's going on with you? Are you okay? Blah, blah, blah. And then once you say you're okay, then they're going to say, then get your S together, sailor. Like something like that. Did that answer the question?
Yeah, and I'm actually pretty motivated at this moment. So,
yeah. Okay.
So let's talk a little bit about like the specific things you're doing in MA school, right? Because that looks like some pretty interesting stuff. Just, the different things that you're trained upon, the different tactics that you're using, the things that you're learning there. Because what's going on in recruit training is very different from A school.
Yes. So at Master Arms A School, the first thing you do is like well, the first thing is like open. I won't say open hand, open hand self defense techniques. Um, it's like, how do you, disarm somebody? How do you um how do you put handcuffs on somebody who's not trying to cooperate? Because I mean, it would be easy if everybody just, if you were like, okay, I'm going to put handcuffs on you, and they just kindly turned around and just put the handcuffs on and let you put the handcuffs on. But a lot of times, people, if they have to be restrained, they don't want to be restrained. So how do you so it's like different like joints, like your elbows, your shoulders, your wrist, different type of wrist locks, elbows locks, knee locks, certain points in the body, pressure points where if you had to strike somebody, like you can cause them to comply with you, but still not do like internal damage. You know what I'm saying? So like if you hit somebody in the head with a baton, like you can like really mess them up bad. So you don't want to do that. So you want to just maybe like, so it's like different. So you learn the different. So it's like different levels of force that you can use. So that's like the first thing you learn, like how to subdue, basically how to detain or arrest somebody without hurting them, but still putting enough pressure on them that they will do what it is that you're requiring them to do for whatever reason. So you learn that. You learn about psychology, the psychology of a person who is angry, you know, the psychology of a person who is like, you know, it's so somebody who's angry at their girlfriend is different than somebody who's angry at America, for example. So you don't approach those situations the same way. So they teach you, different personality, like how to deal with different personalities under pressure, because at the same time you're under pressure also. And then also the reason why they put you in the OC spray is so that you can know what it feels like if you ever have to use it. So yeah, because a lot of times when people use the OC spray, it can get on you as well. And you also want to know, because people, when they get like maybe some OC spray or something on them, or in their eyes or in their breathing area, they can like start to panic and like, kind of act like, they're not going to comply with you. So that's one thing. Then another thing that you learn is like how to, if there's an active shooter in a building, you will learn how to you work with your team, and you go into that building, and so what we just say, you eliminate the threat. Okay, so that's you're going to eliminate the threat. And then I mean, this picture that I have up, you see there, so we use M4. So, and then also we train with M4s, 9 millimeters, and shotguns. So you have to, so for the 9 mil and for the shotgun, there's like a obstacle course that you move through. Um, so you just have to maneuver through the obstacle course, and then you hit the targets. The other thing, and this is the other thing. So with the M4, which we often use like for patrols and things like that, is more like it's more of a weapon used at a distance. So I'm not going to say like a sniper, because I'm definitely not a sniper, but you shoot the weapon from a distance, and you have to stay, like you have to hit a smaller target from a further distance. And that is really working on like breathing technique. Like I mean, maybe if you guys know about that stuff, it's you kind of like have to slow your mind down, slow your body down. And when you you pull the trigger, you have to be relaxed. You can't be all shaky or you'll miss. Um, yeah, so that's so then there's that, and then there's also, A school we do like they'll put you in a simulated uh like a patrol, well, like you're patrolling a particular area, and anything that can go wrong will go wrong. So like there'll be somebody who breaches the gate, there'll be somebody who's come trying to get on the base drunk, there'll be an active shooter on the base, there'll be a explosion that may go off, um and they just teach you how to remain calm and respond to those situations. And another thing that you'll learn is like just basically identifying different types of IEDs, improvised explosive devices and stuff like that. So one of the slides, I think I passed it already. It has some canines, so that's a different type of training. It's the MAs do the canine. Well, no, actually, we don't. There are MAs, they get selected to go to canine school. So there's Master Arms A school. And then after you complete your Master Arms A school, you go to a separate training for canine training. So I never received canine training, but let me see. So that's me. I'm the tall, dark skinned guy. Um, yeah, so like when you finish, I don't know. Yeah, so when you finish, you're prepared to you can move through buildings with a team, so that like, yeah, you can move through buildings with a team. You can identify IEDs, can do some hand techniques, and you learn to use weapons. And then you also, one other element that's very important is you learn a lot about the law. So you do have to study. There's tests every week, written tests every week that you have to pass, because you can't just arm people and just have them just think like, oh yeah, I have a big gun now, I can just do whatever I want. You have to understand. So I don't know if you guys, so you treat, so like the rules of handling a firearm, you treat every weapon as if it's loaded. Like you don't play around with it. You don't point the weapon at anybody. And they teach you how to handle the weapons at that way. You keep the weapon on safe. You keep your finger off the trigger. Those are the basic firearm safety rules. And yeah, so the type of jobs that MAs can do is, so obviously anything in law enforcement, right? So if you do some time, you do become an MA. A lot of people want to become police. There's a guy that I work with. He was an MA. He was a security for an ambassador in Bahrain. I was in Bahrain also. So that's what I'm actually going to tell you about next. So and I have a cousin. He actually went. He was the security. So when he finished his military time, he was the security for at the time, Secretary of State. Her name was Condoleezza Rice. So he was her. Like he traveled with her everywhere. So like the Secret Service guys, you can go into that type of field. Any type, like FBI, CIA type stuff, detective type work, any type of armed security. If you want to go the mental aspect of it, anything like law, lawyers, stuff like that. Those are the type of careers you can get into. So after I finished my school, right, I went back to where I'm from. This is just a picture of a middle school where I used to teach. I did some PT training with the kids. Came back and built relationships in the community where I'm from. And, that's a good thing. I want to be a good role model and stuff like that. Yeah, so that's that. What else? So that's me. That's in Bahrain. That's, the dirty, grimy uniform. Bahrain is hot. Wait, are there any questions?
No, I mean, you're going through your presentation most of the questions which are being asked.
Okay.
One of the questions, though, is, and this you may get into it when you're talking about Bahrain, is that, have you ever had to put your training to actual practice? Like, have you had to arrest anybody or detain people and things like that? You'll probably get into that in a moment.
Well, the only thing that I really had to do is just the main thing, right? So what we do security on the base, we control the entry points, and we monitor the people that we work with. So it was Bahrain is a base. Well, the base that I was on is actually a secret base, so I can't tell you too much information. But what I can tell you is that is a lot of different people there from different countries, different services, Marines, Army, Navy, and people from that country, and people who work there. So there are so like there's cultural differences, right? So you have to be able to de-escalate those type of situations a lot of times. So for example, there was a guy who followed he was from the country, and he followed a female onto the base. And so we had to actually detain him because he was like, it's kind of creepy. And so what happened is he actually, so we detained him. We didn't arrest him. We just detained him, and we put him and then he got put in the jail in that country. And it wasn't pretty for him. Like, it's crazy. Like, he was approaching a woman in an inappropriate manner, and he was put in jail for that. So yeah, we just turned him over to the police in that country. Another situation, we had a guy who was threatening another guy, and we just had to settle him down, get him under control, and then we had to basically keep him locked. I won't say locked up, but he wasn't locked up. He just had to stay in he had a individual barracks that he had to stay in, and we had to have like armed security outside of his door 24 hours, and he had to get escorted to to when he went to go get food, go to the shower. We had to like follow him around everywhere. And just a lot of time, and like you deal with a lot of drunk people who drink a lot. So when people are drunk, they act belligerent, and you just have to like I said, the main thing is just to be able to keep people calm, and just let them know that whatever it is, you understand. But I understand what you're going through, but you're not going to be, acting crazy, stupid, belligerent, drunk in this particular setting. So we have to take you and move you to a place where you can be safe. And that's pretty much it. Pretty mundane. Nothing major really happened out there. It was hot. I'm talking like 110 degrees, 120 degrees. Hot like you never felt before. Hot like you just like you take off your stuff and your socks are soaked with sweat. Hot like you just go outside and you just start sweating automatically, instantly. Hot like you feel like you cooking like you're on a barbecue grill. But other than that, it was pretty cool. It was pretty chill. We just did a lot of training. We did a lot of patrols. Yeah, man. So that's pretty much what it was kind of hitting for. I'm the guy with the sunglasses on and the bald head out there in the heat. Yeah. It's all,
so,
and we had to wear like
on your previous picture, and this kind of and this falls into it, I think, in the is that one of the cadets were asking, and I know me personally, say if things were getting a little bit crazy and you came walking up to me looking like that, right? You definitely have a command presence going on here, right? Just by your posture, your body language, and everything like that. It definitely gives an authority look to what the situation is. So, one of the questions is, how do you mentally prepare like for those job needs, because when you're out on patrol, when you're out in this country, right, you don't know what to expect, right? So you can't let your guard down. So and definitely here, like, look what you're in, right? So how do you get yourself ready to go, get your game face on in order to make this happen?
So prior to a deployment, they give you they put you through a program called Desert Defender. So Desert Defender is so basically they put you in a lot of situations like like the same thing with A school, where anything that can happen will happen. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong. And they put you in uncomfortable situations so that basically to toughen you up, I guess. So that when if something were to happen, you automatically know how to respond. Like you don't even have to really think or consider, am I ready? Because you've been thoroughly trained and prepared. Like I remember this one. It was this one situation that they put us in. It was kind of like something that you would see off of a movie. Like they dropped us into this like it was like a village, and it was we had to get our people out of that village, and they were shooting at us. They weren't shooting, obviously they weren't shooting real bullets, but we had our weapons, they had our weapons, and we had to basically have a shootout in this makeshift town and get our people out of that town. And we had to so we learned combat medicine. So if you see somebody with a gaping who's been shot and they're bleeding out, what do you do? How do you stop that? How do you stop the blood from, so that they don't they don't bleed out and die? So it's like you have to you tie it, you have to tie it at the closest point in their body, like basically cut it off the closest point, as close to the heart as you can get. So if it's their leg, you go up to the point of the leg where they I'm sorry, I got a mess. I'm sorry. So yeah, so you cut the circulation off. So even if they have to lose a leg, for example, they won't die. And then there's situations where they'll have you going on patrol through another village, and all of a sudden all these explosions and fire will start going off all around you. And so it's like, how do you respond? You know what I'm saying? And there's people, and the person right next to you or near you needs you. So so you'll have to so there was I remember the one drill, you had to get your people out of there. So you have the guys, so you have somebody's injured and they have the blood. It's like they got some type of Hollywood type of I don't know, Hollywood type of effects or something, because the people, it looks like their guts are hanging out. So you come up on a situation and their guts are hanging out. You have to bandage them up. You have people shooting at you, and so you have to get, if it's 8 people on your team, you get 4 people who are going to be like the armed escorts, and they're going to watch the back. And then you get the other 4 people. Each one is going to get a corner of the what is it called? Just the hospital. You have put them on a stretcher, and you have to carry them a very far distance, and it gets heavy. So it's like, there's somebody shooting at you. You're carrying this guy. Bombs are going off. There's smoke everywhere. You get to, and then you have to take them to a helicopter or airlift. So you do training with stuff like that, and it makes it so that once you get into a real environment, you're like, okay, whatever happens is just going to happen, and I'm ready. Or they'll put you in a situation where there's somebody will come up and they'll actually have a bomb or a makeshift bomb, and what do you do? You know what I'm saying? So there's levels of force escalation, and like you talked about the appearance, right? So one of the things is like your physical presence. Like for most people, your physical presence, if because like we're like I don't think, oh yeah, so like you usually don't, I wouldn't know, I just knew you guys were kind of interested in this type of stuff. That's why I put the with the M4 armed up and stuff like that. But usually I don't show, these type of images. But yeah, oh, hold on, let me go back, my bad, hold up, go back. So if you see, so that's just me as an individual. I didn't want to put too many guys that I work with. You could see at the top, like at the top corner, there's like another guy. There's this clip. It's probably like 20 of us in that photo actually. So you don't, if you see us, you're when you see us, you're gonna be like, okay. And not only do we have M4s, like there's like a guy up in the tower with like a machine gun. And so that's going to make people reevaluate whatever they were thinking about doing. So once you get past and then if they're still, not complying to what it is that you want to do or you want them to do, then you use your words. Okay. And then once you get past your words, you use what's called soft controls. So like that's like wrist locks, arm locks, maybe OC spray, something like that. And then you have handcuffs, and then you have hard controls. So the hard controls are like, hard that's like a baton, like you can break somebody's bones or something with that. And then from there, what else? The hard controls. Then there's deadly force. So then you actually would like use a weapon. So yeah, as far as training, oh, that's me and my son. I'm all about my son, man. I'm a family guy. So even though, I do this line of work, I'm definitely about my son. I got another baby on the way. And I just want to, be there, be a good dad. Yeah. So I don't know. That's pretty much what I got. So what you guys got?
Well, okay. So some of the other questions came in is about your choices, and in particular, why did you choose the Navy over the other branches? Because they all have a similar. I don't want to say that one branch's military police force is better than the others, but they all have different ones, right? Why did you choose the Navies? What attracted you to our service?
I think that the Navy is a good balance. There's okay. So first, let me just preface what I'm saying by saying that I don't get into, some guys are really adamant about, oh, Army means aren't ready for Marines yet or something like that. And
Yeah, right.
Marines means whatever. I don't know. Like they, all these things. I can't even remember what they are, but I don't get into that stuff too much. I respect everybody that I work with from all the different branches. So the reason why I chose the Navy is, like I said, it's a good balance, but there are stereotypes, right? So like the Marines, they would say, these guys are like, they're how can I say it? They get treated very rough. I guess that's what I can say. They get a rough treatment. In the Army, they also get rough treatment. The Air Force, what they say, is that the Air Force is like kind of like super, maybe like easy. They don't train as hard. So I picked the Navy because I thought it was a good balance. Like it was like, okay, you still have to use your intellect. You still get the physical training, but it's not like over the top like maybe the Marines would be. Like for me, I wasn't really, it's like, yeah, and that's all I'll say about that. The Navy was just a good balance for me.
Excellent. Another question is, do you plan on staying in the Navy and retiring?
Yeah, I do. So basically, so my next path I'm actually becoming a Navy career counselor because it relates to what I did before I was in the Navy, which is, I like to work with guys, help them help. I like to help guys help themselves. So, if there's a guy who's like, trying to figure out their way in life, um, I think that that's an important thing to do because, like I said, like I'm all about my kids. I got one son and I got another baby on the way, and so like I'm all about trying to make the world a better place. So if I can help create some leaders that will one day, when my kids get old enough, maybe one of you guys, if I will hope that he would join the Navy. Maybe one of our whatever branch they chooses to join, but maybe one of you guys will lead my son. You know what I'm saying? So I want to be able to do my small part to help, help these guys become future leaders so that when it's time for me to pass the baton, I know that it's in good hands. So I do want to stay in and retire.
That's really nice. That's really nice. Another question is, well, when you retire, when you complete, any ideas what you'd like to do when you get out? Because you talked about a lot of different potential career fields in the Master at Arms area, but that could be a way off. So, what's your thoughts
about after I retire?
Yes.
Probably you teaching in a university. Cause I have I'm actually gonna use the tuition assistance. I don't know if you guys know about that. Do you? I don't know.
Yeah, we do.
Okay, so I'm gonna use the tuition assistance to get another master's degree. Like I already have I have a doctorate degree in education. So I'm gonna continue to educate myself, and just continue to keep myself marketable, up to date. And then with the GI Bill, if I, as long as I've been in for 5 years, I can, after 10, I'll be able to pass the GI Bill to my son. So like he like already basically has his college set for him, and he's still, basically he hasn't even really started school yet. So I'm really, I'm looking forward to that. And yeah, teaching at a university and, getting just supporting my kids, helping my kids to at that point they'll be starting to make their own moves and just be there for them. I want to use the VA loan to get some real estate so that I have some rental income coming in, teach at a university, and watch my kids and call it a kickback exercise. You know what I'm saying? Maybe do some marathons or something. I don't, just live the life.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Back to the training, like A school in particular. All right. Is the Navy police training or MA training different, do you know of, than what they teach, say, in the Marines or Army, or is it kind of baselined and then it gets specific to branch?
Yeah, it's baselined and gets specific to branch. So even if you were to become a civilian police officer, there's going to be certain things that are the same, but then there's going to be certain things that are specific to what the Navy or the Air Force or the the state police. They're going to want you to know certain things, and even in like a certain country, like, so say Philly. Well, I don't know. I guess you guys are all over, right? So
right.
So I'm based out of Philadelphia, right? So as an MA in a Philadelphia, which is an urban area, there's going to be a specific set of skills that they're going to want you to know, even within the Navy. So if you go out to Hawaii, for example, they may, because of the climate, the temperature, the culture, there's going to be different things, the different threats that you may face. You know what I'm saying? So that you get trained based on your environment and what the people in charge or running your environment deem as important. So you can always learn more outside the box, but yeah, there's going to be some baseline training, and then there's going to be some specific to where you are.
Very nice. Question back to equipment, right?
Uh-huh.
So when you were in Bahrain, is there a particular basic kit that you'd bring out, your basic outfit, as far as weapons, radios, platings, things like that?
Yeah, so this is your basic. So I mean, if you could see, like, you have about what is that? Probably like a 30 pound vest that's plated. You have a on the side of your where my leg is. That's where a 9 millimeter weapon will go. Um, you have radio. So you get they issue you the equipment. So when you go, so when I spoke before about the Desert Defender training course that you have to go through, they give you everything that you need there, and then you take that, you pack up your sea bag, and then you take that on the mission with you. Let me see. We use M4. I told you that already. You carry, so if you see the guy all the way to the left, in the center, he has like those three. Those are 9 millimeter, three 9 millimeter round, three magazines, and you have you're loaded also. So you have basically probably like, what is that? About 45 rounds with the 9 mil, about 90 rounds with your M4 that you're going to carry around with you all the time. And then when you get off work, you basically turn in your weapon and you turn in your rounds. So like sometimes, like when you clear your weapon, clearing your weapon is basically when you make sure there's no bullets in it, you make sure it's safe and stuff like that. Like you're accountable for everything. So they give you your weapons when you start your shift. So like we would work 12 hours. So we would work 3 days on, 3 days off, 2 days on, 2 days off. That's how we would work, 12 hours apiece. And so when you first get your weapons, they issue you your rounds. So for some reason, some guys, a couple times, they lost their bullets. And so if you lose your bullets, it's actually a big thing. Like even if they didn't have to shoot. So just a quick sidebar, you shoot your weapon a lot. So as an MA, not saying that you shoot it at people, but you shoot quite often. You have to maintain you have to be qualified to shoot to use the weapon. So you constantly are being, reinforcing how to use the weapon properly, how to reload it properly, how to manage and maintain it properly. So like if a guy loses a bullet, it's like a whole big thing. Like so like one time I remember we got off work, it was 12 hours. It was like at the end of a 3-day, 12-hour shift, we were like, everybody's like, good, we got these next 3 days off, we're good, we're relaxed. Somebody lost their weapon for some reason, I don't know how. And so we had to like search, so they wouldn't let anybody leave. We had to search everywhere. And this is the desert, and it's like, it's hot. So we were like really pissed off at this dude because he lost his weapon. Like, dude, how'd you lose your weapon? How'd you lose your bullet? Like, what the freak? So we can't get off work. So
he lost just one bullet, and he had to go find
it. He lost one bullet, and we had to find it. You have to, because like, I mean, obviously, bullets can do damage. So if somebody's like stealing bullets, you know what I'm saying, and then they get some idea, they can, little by little start stealing bullets. So they count how many when you turn your weapons in at the end of the day, they count your bullets. And what happened, I don't know how or why, but he was messing with his weapon, and he lost one of his rounds, and it was in the dirt somewhere. We found it. That was one time. Another time we were searching for probably 2-3 hours, and it ended up, we found it at what's called the clearing barrel. I don't know if you guys know what that is. That's where you basically put your weapon and make sure that it's, if it goes off by accident, it doesn't hit anybody. So we actually found a round buried in the dirt at the clearing barrel. So yeah, that stuff is like a pain. You guys, you may think like weapons are cool, but like after a while, you'd be like, man, I'm tired of carrying around this, because you have to carry it and you can't put it down. Like you have to. So it's a 30-pound vest. I don't remember how much the M4 is, and you're just like armed, and it's heavy and it's hot. It is what it is. It's all good. Like, it just builds your endurance and stamina. But you'd be like, man, I can't wait to take this vest off, and I can't wait to put this M4 down. Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding. So I have one final question that we'll wrap up with, and this is kind of pertinent after all the things that you shared with us. Is, it appears that the Navy has been treating you, well. You've had a really good experience. Would you ever consider switching to another branch at this time?
No, I'm good. I'm good. I'm gonna keep on rocking with the Navy. I like the way. So one thing, when we travel in, I won't say in style, but we get treated well. Like, they'll put us up, like we go to Germany, we get put in a nice location. We're not like sleeping in the middle of like, some desert or some forest. They actually have housing with running water and bathrooms and stuff for us. So like, I'm cool with that. And also, so like the thing, so for me, on a personal note, like for you guys your age, the Navy is really good for traveling. Like, you want to travel the world, do the Navy. You'll see so many different countries, go to so many different places. For me, I'm at this stage in my life, with a family and stuff like that. I'm more into, just being around my wife and my kids and establishing myself here. So because the Navy is putting me in a position to become a career counselor so that I can be able to do that. So I'm cool with that. But like I said, if you're a young dude, 19, 20, ready to go, ready to, get out there, I like the Navy, man. I worked with another MA. We actually met in Texas, and she was in Spain, she was in Japan, and I think she was on her way to Italy. And when we talked, she was like, yeah, I could never go back to like regular, normal civilian life. Like, I'm traveling all over the world. I'm going to all these different places. And she was just a young, a girl. She was probably like 23. She already been all over the world with the Navy. So yeah, I recommend it.
Well, Petty Officer Penick, I really want to thank you for your time and giving us the insight that you had being an MA. I got a lot out of what you're saying about the training and the physical aspect of it, and then being on patrol in Bahrain. There's a lot to that, but even at the same time, be able to balance that work-family balance and getting a lot out of that. So, it's very admirable, the things that you're doing and that you are doing for all of us and for our country, and also, the opportunity to give some insight to our cadets. So, I greatly appreciate it. And thank you very much for stepping in and sharing your life and your stories with us. So that's really fantastic. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for everything, for your time. I'm trying to, let me see. How do I, okay. So yeah. Okay.
So it's all good.
Thank you.
So, again, greatly appreciate it. Cadets, don't forget, there's a brief quiz after this. Take it. It's going to be active for only 2 days, like all the other quizzes. So, apply what you've learned today. I hope you've gotten a lot out of this. I know I definitely have. Thank you again, Petty Officer, for being part of our presentation. And everybody, have a great evening. Thanks for joining.
Thank you. All right. Have a good one.